When you're first starting out learning how to code, you'll likely make this one mistake. As a matter of fact, I made this mistake and it was one of the things that hindered my learning when I was first starting out. And don't tell me you're built different, you too are likely to make this mistake, especially if you're trying to learn on your own. And that mistake is not mastering the fundamentals before moving on. I see it all the time. 90% of the time you're having difficulty understanding a concept or getting something to stick is because you simply don't understand the fundamentals. The other 10% is when you're learning async JavaScript for the first time. You see, most people just want to get to the quote-unquote fun stuff, so they skim through the early fundamentals and end up having to go back to relearn most of everything. For me, it was JavaScript. You see, I had this pretty roadmap in front of me, and I simply wanted to get to the end as quick as possible so I could start building apps. The only problem is, when I did get there, I was having difficulties learning these frameworks because of the simple fact that these frameworks were built on top of JavaScript, which were the fundamentals that I rushed through. Like, imagine trying to make sense of code that fetches data in React when you don't understand basic async JavaScript. You're not going to be able to focus on the React elements. Instead, you're going to be confused. You see, React builds upon these basic concepts, and most of the time, there's code under the hood that you don't see, which is going to leave you more confused. Learning React without a solid foundation in JavaScript is like trying to write a novel without mastering the basics of grammar and vocabulary. And the same applies for something like Next.js. You don't want to be using Next.js if you don't have a solid understanding of React. And it's like this with every state of progression when it comes to learning, especially when you are learning the basics. Don't treat it as the boring phase before we get to the fun. Rather, treat it as the important phase that's going to save my sanity in the future. That's all I got. Now go learn those fundamentals.